عن أبي رقية تميم بن أوس الداري رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: الدين النصيحة. قلنا: لمن؟ قال: لله ولكتابه ولرسوله ولأئمة المسلمين وعامتهم. رواه مسلم.
An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, هذا وشبه من أحاديث الباب ظاهر في أنها لا تمنع المسجد. He says the hadith that says لا تمنعوا إماء الله مساجد الله, don't stop, don't prevent, don't hold back Allah's handmaidens, his female servants, from Allah's masjids. He says this hadith and hadith that are similar to it, it proves and it shows, he says the zahir, that which is apparent, is that a woman is not to be prevented from the masjid, as we said last night. He says, لكن بشروط ذكرها العلماء مأخوذة من الأحاديث. He says, however, there are conditions for women to be allowed to go to the masjid and not to be prevented. There are what? He says there are conditions that the ulama have mentioned. Nawawi, he's quoting from the ulama what? Before him. Nawawi died in the 7th century. Everybody understand this? He's quoting from ulama of the 6th century, 5th century, 4th century, 3rd century, 2nd century. So us today in 2018, we're going to be quoting from Nawawi. And the ulama who came after him, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Everybody understand this? The scholarship goes on and on and on. Everybody clear on this or not? He says the ulama, they've mentioned these conditions when a woman is not to be prevented from going to the masjid. I.e., we understand from this is that she does not fulfill these conditions, then the husband can prevent her from going to the masjid. Everybody understand this? If these conditions are not fulfilled, then it will be permissible what? And don't not prevent her. Everybody understand this? Where these conditions come from, Ahmed? The ulama just made them up. They came from Muneer. It's just madhab, it's just bid'ah. He says, مَأْخُوذَةً مِنَ الْأَحَادِيثِ. They've taken these conditions from hadiths. This hadith, and they did what? Collectively wrap them up and sum them up. Everybody understand this? Collectively wrap them up and what? Sum them up. Everybody understand this? And you as a student of knowledge, you may find a condition that's based off of a totally weak hadith. So you may say that condition is what? No longer what? Applicable. If you're qualified for that. Everybody understand this? This hadith is based on this ruling that a woman, she can't go to the masjid at nighttime. Mathalan. There's no authentic hadith stating that. So if you're qualified and you've studied overseas, you may say, we don't what? We don't agree with that. We have respect on the ulama who said that, have that view, alhamdulillah. If that's what you found, that's fine. But me, my ijtihad is that what? That's not that strong. But the hadith is authentic, is clear, then you have to take that. Everybody understand this? And everything that the ulama come up with of conditions and prerequisites doesn't mean that it came out of thin air. No. Are there certain things that is not based off a clear dalil? Yes. And you in 2017, 2018 are not bound by that ijtihad. Everybody understand this or not? You're not bound by that what? The ijtihad. Something there's no specific, authentic textual proof for. This was the ijtihad. In their time, this is how they calculated time. Where they were from, this is how much bread costs in Iraq in the 4th century. So he says that the husband, the compensation has to pay the wife is kada dirham. That's no longer applicable, what? And so, everybody understand this? Different prices, different things. Everybody understand this or not? Everybody, this is how you properly study fiqh. There's ijma', there's khilaf, there's dalil that's authentic, dalil that's not authentic. Everybody understand this? He says, so these conditions the ulama have mentioned, when these conditions, he says they're taken from hadiths. Condition number 1, he says, وَهُوَ أَنْ لَا تَكُونَ مُتَطَيِّبَةً. For her to be unscented? No, not a good translation. Because deodorant or certain things can have some type of scent. Light or not, but some type of scent. Doesn't mean you can smell it from outside. Mutatayyiba meaning that she what? With the sound effects. Don't forget it. It's a part of the class, no doubt. Right, Abdul Qawi? That's how you remember it, yeah? With the sound effects. That is mutatayyiba. Or she's putting the oud or the bukhur on her abaya. He has the mabkhara, this is the oud burner, and she puts it in her closet and allows the smell to go into her what? Her abayas. Everybody understand this? As we said last night, one may say, well, therefore you can use fabric softener. What's the favorite fabric softener for the bear? What's his name? It's not Snuggles. What's it called? The famous one. Act like you guys don't know what I'm talking about. From back in the day, the bear, the teddy bear. The famous fabric softener.
Snuggles, man. No.
Downy?
Downy?
Stop acting like you don't know what you're talking about, Ikhwan. All right, tell you. Everybody get the point? Then maybe Downy. I think it's Downy. Downy fabric softener. I think so.
Bear man is Snuggles, bro.
Snuggles? You sure?
Yeah, I got the proof and delay right
We submit to the delay. Snuggles, you sure?
Snuggles, man.
Tayyip, mashallah. Is that new?
Snuggles. Sorry, lost that back.
No, yeah, that's not the original one. No. La. We want the Sahih Bukhari. We want the authentic. It's one that's older than that. I think it's Downy. Al-Muhim, at the end of the day, everybody get the point? That is clear Tayyib. Fabric softener is much more than just fabric, but it makes the clothes smell what? As well, let alone the dish detergent. But this is the softener, the sheets that you put in that makes the clothes smell what? A specific way. Is that the same as her what? Or the oud, and making the oud burn for 10 minutes on her abayas or on top of her abayas. It's a difference. That fabric softener is not like actual what? Perfume. The deodorant is not like the what? Everybody clear on this or not? There's a difference because you fall into an error. Anything that's tayyib, and that's not maqsood. That's not what? That's not what's meant here. Because there's something which is customarily accepted and it doesn't have anything to do with romance or attraction. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this or not? Let alone the smell is going to eventually is going to what? Fade out. Not like what? It's a difference. Or oud or bukhur. Everybody understand this? Now, another concept very important is with regards to just having your clothes smelling good. A woman has her clothes smelling good. Not superly duperly perfumed, but just not smelling like sweat, clean. Everybody understand this? There's a difference. So the first condition is she's not allowed to go to the masjid if she's what? Mutatayyiba. And we've explained that. Number 2, he says, wala mutazayyina. Nor is she allowed to be in a type of zina. Totally adorned, dressed up, really fancy, really nicely dressed. She's not allowed to do that. Does that mean that she can't look presentable? Does not mean that. Does that mean she's not allowed to have the permissible zina? Illa ma dhahara minha? Doesn't mean that. It does not mean that she cannot have the things that Allah Azza wa Jal has allowed her to have as a woman who is distinguished from a man. She has on one solid color. She has on black. She has a little pocketbook. The pocketbook is not super flashy, but it has a buckle on it. Mathalan. A buckle. Mathalan. Or she has some shoes with a buckle. Mathalan. A strap. Everybody understand this? A woman is going to have some type of button, buckle, strap, a hijab pin. It has to be some type of distinction that she's a dainty lady. Everybody understand this? Some type of what? Distinction. Everybody understand this or not? A button, something on a book bag, something. Everybody clear this? In most cases. That doesn't mean that that's what's meant here. Mutazayyina. She has on kuhul on her eyes. She has on fingernail polish, her hands out. That's a different story. She has on the fanciest, flashiest garment, high heel shoes. That's a different what? Different story. Everybody clear this? So you can't go to the masjid to worship Allah Azza wa Jalla like this. Let alone to college. Let alone to school, to the market, to go outside. Yani, we don't have the time, brothers. Nor is it, what are we going to do about the Muslims today? May Allah help us all. Our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our wives, our neighbors. What can you do? You go to the MSA, you go to a conference, you go to a masjid. What can you do? Allah musta'an. This one, skin tight jeans. This sister has her feet out. This sister has on literally a cake face, a face full of makeup, like a clown. This sister, you can smell her 10 yards away, 20 paces away. this sister has on this type of overgarment, which is half Islamic, half cultural, exotic, this arm, this open, what can you do? And the men, the brothers, they don't say nothing. They don't do nothing. They don't educate them. They have no ghayra. They don't. What can you do? Allah al-musta'an. Ila Allah al-mushtaka. To Allah is the complaint. And I don't think that anyone sitting in front of me here, let alone those online, I don't think that anyone can or is feeling or saying that I'm talking about something that's totally foreign. And, right or wrong, this is a reality, unfortunately. If you have someone that doesn't listen, that's a different story. Or you yourself were living upon a certain way for many years. That's another reality. Many brothers, they weren't praying. They were drinking. They were gambling. They had girlfriends. They were sleeping around. They were barely Muslim. For 20, 30 years, 40 years. Come to America, sat in a class, learned from a brother. He starts to grow his beard, grow his stove. But his wife and children are still what? They're still 20 years ago. Just because you became whatever you became doesn't mean what? We're going to change. Yeah, I'm not a saint. I'm the same person I was 20 years ago. That's you who were brainwashed by that Mia G, whatever you want to call them. Right, Sheikh? Everybody understand this? This is reality among many families today, unfortunately. And oftentimes there are reasons behind this. Certain brothers, when they become enlightened, alhamdulillah, they don't give the necessary dawah to their family. Or they have so much enthusiasm and zeal, they're too harsh. They don't have enough wisdom. They're not patient. There are many reasons behind this. And this is you go to the conference, you go over brother's house, the brother has a full beard. He says, this is my wife. And she's, everybody saying this? Or a sheikh, big sheikh, said, this is my daughter. She's studying in college. And her overgarment, if that, only Allah knows what it's like. This is a sad reality of many of our families, our friends, and our neighbors. Everybody understand this? But we have to understand that it's not a joke. And it's not something that's a small, easy thing. Covering is not something that is just from the surface of the religion. Covering is not something which is just optional. It's a reality. Type number 3. He then says, وَلَا ذَاتْ خَلَاخِلْ يُسْمِعُ صَوْتَهَا أو يُسْمَعُ صَوْتَهَا. He says, nor is she to wear bangles or anklets, which, he says, يُسْمَعُ صَوْتَهَا, which can be heard or cause noise, cause a sound. Like, when you saw something, al-muhim, she isn't to wear things on her ankles, and the same applies to her wrists or anything else which draws noise. Included in that is what? High-heel shoes. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. That draws a clear, that's a salt, that's a noise that you hear. Let alone how a woman walks when she wears high heels, or let alone how a woman feels. As the sister said, she said, what? I put on the 6-inch heels, I felt fierce. She said, fierce. Am I making this up, Nafis?
She had them on that day.
Allah Alam. How about that, Akhi? If you know about that, don't put that on me. What's important is, she said, I feel fierce when I put on those heels. I don't feel attractive. She said, I feel what? Fierce. How does that? When she walks past men outside, she feels what? Fierce. Oh, Allah knows best. Sadiq, yeah. Everybody understand this or not? So the shoes and how they make you walk, how they make you feel, that's something which cannot be denied. Everybody, there's something that's not what? Cannot be denied. So much so that a woman will be uncomfortable. She'll hurt her feet, have corns, have bunions, have all types of vegetables on her toes, just to look cute, just to have on these shoes, just to fit in, just to be a slave of the fashion industry, knowing that her feet are totally what? Uncomfortable. Everybody understand this? So the third condition is that she cannot have anything on that draws attention to her. Whether it's her anklets, her wrist, her phone, let alone her what? Mouthpiece. Everybody understand this? Talking loud, being boisterous. Full niqab, black from head to toe. She's yelling, hollering, and screaming and cursing. This is a reality. Everybody understand this? Hijab inwardly and what? Outwardly. And not just saying that it's outward, nor are we saying that it's just what? Inward. The ignorant people say hijab is internal. That's it. It's a spiritual hijab. How you carry yourself, your character. People will say this. And the reason why they say this, there's several reasons, but from the reason why they say this is because people who have on all black and they still curse, or sister lives having niqab and she smokes a bone, a cigarette, with a niqab on. Ever seen this? Yeah, it's a reality, no doubt. Overseas, it's not just don't think it's America, Philly, New York. No, in Medina, in Yemen, Go into this woman's bathroom, smoke cigarettes, put the niqab back down. This is real. Everybody understand this? So the hijab, they are turned off by these sisters that are wearing the hijab, wearing the khimar, wearing the niqab, but their internal is totally ugly. And that pushes them to another side of what? Extremism. So there has to be a what? A balance. Internal hijab and what? External hijab. Moving forward, he says, وَلَا ثِيَابْ فَاخِرَةً. Nor is she to wear fine clothes. She is not to put on her fineries. Not to wear really nice clothes. Is that another condition or included in the previous condition? Al-Muhim, the point is clear. She's not to wear what? Fine clothes. And this does not mean that she has to look like she's homeless and starving. It does not mean that. Because we have relative understanding of fine. Some of our basic simple clothes that we wear on a daily basis to the people over 500 years ago is considered what? Far more than fine, luxurious. You have 5 pairs of shoes. You have this type of jacket, butter leather. Maybe only a king could wear that. Someone that could afford for a whole animal, 2 animals, 3 animals, a fur, to be slaughtered and prepared for his back. It wasn't like how things were. The industrial what? Revolution. The world changed when the industrial revolution came. Literally. The peasant wasn't as far behind from the noble. Everybody understand this? Instead of taking a month to make something, it can be made in a what? A day, with a far cheaper price. Everybody understand this? So some of the clothes, some of the things that we have, some of the luxuries that we have in the past were considered to be luxuries of kings and royal noble people taking a bath every day. Everybody understand this? Taking a what? A hot bath. It wasn't something that everyone had access to. Everybody clear on this or not? Eating meat wasn't something that everyone what? Had access to. Fresh fruit. What do you want? Orange, banana, kiwi, dragon fruit, date, pear, apple. What type of apple you want? You can find all of that in the supermarket. And certain times and places, certain fruits and foods were strictly what? Seasonal. You could only get them during a specific season. And if you wanted them, and if you demanded them, then you had to be very wealthy. And not just wealthy, but you had to be also what? Royal and highborn. Abdul Adud. Everybody understand this? Such as ice. Yeah, ice cream. You want ice cream. You go out any time of the night, 7-Eleven, Sunoco, wherever you go, you get what? Ice cream. You want ice back in the day, you had to get it from the mountains. King would send his soldiers to go for a long distance with a chest and bring back ice. And then gather the fruit, the cream, and make a slushy thing called ice cream. That was not like the ice cream we have today. You had to be rich for certain things. But nowadays, that's what? It's nothing. You get $1 ice cream, strawberry shortcake, chocolate eclair. Everybody understand this or not? So the point that we're trying to get to, brothers and sisters, we're not trying to entertain you. We're trying to make a point of having the proper understanding of the text of the ulama of the past. The proper understanding of the text of the ulama of the past. He says, وَلَا ثِيَابْ فَاخِرَةً. Fineries. Everybody understand this? We all know that there are clothes which are extravagant and luxurious today. Clear. But a sister may have on a simple overgarment. That's quality. A quality coat, quality shoes. And someone say, that's ثِيَابْ فَاخِرَةً. هذه ثِيَابْ فَاخِرَةً. لا تخرجي. هذا خطأ. Everybody understand this or not? Dressing nice or nicely, having quality things does not mean that it's ثِيَابْ فَاخِرَةً. Everybody got this? And oftentimes we don't have the proper understanding of the speech of the ulama, let alone of the hadiths in the Quran. We don't have the proper understanding how to interpret and analyze their speech, because this is the speech of a man who lived many years ago, who spoke a different language, and most importantly had a different culture. The culture of Nawawi is not like the culture of America, of New York City, of Britain, of Canada. It's not the same culture. The mindset is what? Totally different. How they looked at life is what? It's different. Everybody understand this? Moving forward. He then says, وَلَا مُخْتَلِطَةً بِالرِّجَالِ. Nor is she to be mixing with men. And we've explained that in detail last night. What's meant by mixing. وَلَا شَابَةً وَنَحْوَهَا مِمَّنْ يُفْتَتَنُ بِهَا. Nor, listen carefully, she is not allowed to be a young woman. No, he says she cannot be a what? A young woman, he says, وَنَحْوُهَا or وَنَحْوَهَا or anything else like a young woman, which is a means of fitna, i.e. attractive. Whether she's young, men want young women, whether she's a little older but she's very beautiful, she's so on and so forth. Everybody understand this? Attractive, and it causes the men to fall into what? A fitna. Obviously the word fitna and attraction, these terms are extremely what? Relative from time to time, place to place. Brother says a very tall sister. Sister's 6'3". Some brothers, mashallah, it's a fitna for him. Abdul Qawi. Tayyib. Other brothers, they may say, I don't like tall women. She doesn't do nothing for me. Everybody understand this? That's relative. That's what? Relative. She's fair-skinned. She's automatically beautiful. That brother says, I want a sister with dark skin. Subjective from person to person, place to place, time to time. What's important is this condition here, the wisdom of it is clear as day. A woman not coming to the masjid to distract the men that have to go to the masjid. However, it doesn't mean that this principle or this dhabit is absolute. To say that a young sister can't come to the masjid now? What's the dalil for that? That a young woman or an attractive woman can't? What if she's covered properly? What if she's not wearing perfume? How do you know what she looks like if she's covered from head to toe? Sir? Everybody understand this or not? Now, the very interesting point here is no we talking about, listen carefully, what issue can be connected to this right here? Who's smart enough? What can be connected to this issue?
Covering the face and the hands.
Ahsant, covering the face and the hands. And someone could read from this, possibly, and understand that her being young and this and that means that her what? Face and hands are not covered. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that she's mutabarrija. Everybody understand this or not? For you to know that she's young and attractive, her face and her hands are not what? Covered. A sister has on a total abaya, burqa, gloves, everything. From you don't know if she could be an older woman with wrinkles, or her face could be, her skin could be like a young woman's skin. You don't know. So one may say this is alluding to the fact that her face and her hands are not what? Covered. Meaning it was something that was known in this time, this place, or the madhab, etc. Are we clear on this or not? Now, we're not here to discuss the obligation or the permissibility of that. We're just trying to show how from one thing you learn what? 10,000. That's not just many. 10,000 things. Everybody clear on this or not? So he says that she can't be a young woman. Is that absolute? We say what? No. Why isn't that absolute? Two reasons. First reason is ahsant. No dalil for it? No clear. There is a dalil, the dalil of aqli, precaution. But there's no nas sarih. There's no frank punch you right in the face dalil saying that a young woman can't go to the masjid. Rather, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, La tamna'u ima Allah. He says, do not stop what? The handmaidens of Allah, including old handmaiden, young handmaiden, attractive handmaiden, not so attractive handmaiden. Everybody understand this? That's nas mutlaq, nas am. There's no specifics pertaining to that. It's am. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this or not? He did not specify which of Allah's female slaves can and cannot go to the masjid. So there is a dalil they're using, but it's not necessarily what? Clear and strong. So therefore, you're not necessarily bound to stick by it. You have to. The ulama said it. Everybody understand this or not? Very important principle with regards to any issue of the deen. Also, the second reason why is because what if she has on the proper clothes, she's covered, she's not scented, and she wants to go to the masjid? What's the difference? What difference does it make if she's young if she's covered properly? Except for the situation of a danger upon her, in which someone may try to do something to her because he knows that she's what? Young. Because he knows that she's what? Young. Let's say, for example, he looks at her shoes. She has some type of sneakers, and he feels that she's what? Younger. An older woman wouldn't wear these type of shoes. For example, and that's hypothetical, but possible. Everybody clear this or not? What's important is if it's safe outside, then it's what? Safe outside. And if it's dangerous outside, then it's dangerous outside. Everybody understand this? Moving forward. وَأَنْ لَا يَكُونَ فِي الطَّرِيقِ مَا يُخَافُ بِهِ مَفْسَدَ وَنَحْوُهَا. He says, last but not least, nor is there anything which is a mafsada, the opposite of maslaha. A mafsada, a harm for which we fear. Like we just said, her getting raped, getting attacked, her getting kidnapped, something happening to her. Everybody understand this? And obviously that's applicable to what? Young and old. Unless the young girl is extremely foolish, gullible and naive, green, as we say. And the older sister is wise and savvy, street smart. She knows how to notice danger, how to smell danger. Excuse me, can you tell me the directions? Everybody understand this? And a young girl, because she's so pure or inexperienced in life, oh yeah, it's this way. Next thing you know, he snatches her. For example, if that's an argument that you can make. But if anyone who's going to a masjid, going outside from her car, from her house, some distance, on the bus, on the train, wherever she is, she has to have some type of basic knowledge of awareness. Everybody understand this? And this is very important for us all to learn. Street smarts. If you live in the suburbs or you live in the middle of the ghetto, street smarts. Driving on a plane, just basic knowledge of how to conduct yourself. Don't talk to strangers. Be aware of your surroundings. Everybody understand this? Now, the problem of the Muslims living among the non-Muslims, like we mentioned last night, and the comfort that many Muslims live in has totally stripped many Muslims from this. Because it's so comfortable, so nice. America is so wonderful. Everything is safety, protection. What do you say? Courts of law. He said, protected by what? Courts of law, police, it's order. It's not the Wild Wild West. People run around with guns and knives and bats and sticks. It's law. Yet and still, there's what? People get abused, killed, murdered, and the list goes on. And oftentimes, not all the times, people are victimized, but sometimes people get raped or beat up because they just weren't what? As we say, that's another principle. Knowing where to be. You have no business on the street at this time of night. No business there. What are you doing there? Oh, I want to get a loaf of bread, you know. Everybody understand this? You have no business being there or at that time, but being what? By yourself. Go with a sister. Some people, they won't attack if they see what? Two of them. Everybody understand this? Some self-defense. There are a whole list of things that you have to have basic protection of being victimized. Everybody understand this? And most importantly is if you live in that type of rough neighborhood, you should know what times you should and shouldn't leave your house. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? That's without a question. Everybody understand this or not? And always to realize is that no matter how many times somebody smiles in your face and shakes your hand and wants to be your friend, if someone's not Muslim or the opposite sex or whatever the case may be, danger is always there. It doesn't mean that you have to be paranoid, but just be aware. Be what? That's it.